Okay, before I had my coughing fit, before I had to turn off the video, before I had to empty out the camera, before a whole bunch of things went south in a hurry, we were talking about what would happen if we mix sulfuric acid H2SO4 with iron. We're predicting we can get some water, we can get some hydrogen sulfide gas, we can get some iron sulfates of some kind, FeSs. So there's several things that we can get, which we're going to go into in just a moment. Now, next we're going to be doing tissue paper. Now notice we're going to do tissue paper and sugar. The sugar one is already posted at the page. And it's actually labeled as acid sugar number 1 and acid sugar number 2. I did it twice. Once I did it as a test run to see how well our hood worked in there, and the other time I did it for some students who came in this morning. So, here we go with the tissue. H2SO, oh, look at this chemical formula. There's carbon, carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, oxygen. Tissue paper and sugar are made out of the same three things. There are just not that many of them in the tissue paper. And as you can see, tissue paper does not look, it looks like sugar, it's white, but it sure doesn't taste like sugar. It's not very sweet at all. But what happens now? Here's the thing with sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid wants to release the water. It's going to bond, the hydrogens and the sulfurs in here are going to bond to the carbon, and they're going to have are not going to bond to the carbon, but they're going to have a violent reaction with the water, and we're going to drive the water off. So, in tissue paper we have H10O5. That means we're going to have 5 H2Os. 5 goes into H10 5 times, that leaves H2, and it goes in 5 oxygen. 5 goes into 5 one time, so it's 5 oxygens. We're also going to get carbon left over. We should get 6 carbons. And then the H2SO, H2O, that could be another water, and we have sulfur S4, or H2O4, H2O4, that could be a water, and an S2, a sulfate. So we might get another water, H2O. We might get a sulfide, S4, or an SO2. So there's several things that we can get out of here. And the SO product is going to have that rotten egg smell. That's what sulfur smells like. In the case of the sugar, we're going to get, this is H22O11. We're going to get 11 H2Os. We're going to get 12 carbons. You'll see that in the reaction. That's the carbon, that's the column of black that we get to come up. And we can get some of these products up here at the top. So then we wanted to know, we're going to be doing the scientific method, and we're trying to reinforce the 5 steps that we're teaching of the scientific method, which is observation. We're going to come up with a theory, we're going to do an experiment, we're going to analyze our results, and then we're going to either that we proved or disproved, and we're going to communicate those results. So we want to observe what happens when sulfuric acid is combined with different materials. Based on the information above, what do we think is going to happen? Well, in the iron, we hopefully are going to dissolve the iron. In the second one, we hope we're going to dissolve the tissue paper. And in the third one, we want to strip the water, strip the H2O, and we want to leave the carbon behind. And we think we're going to get some kind of sulfide gas. We're going to get a rotten egg smell out of it. So, and then we'll refer to the experiments for the actual procedure, and we'll finish it up. So now, here is the first experiment. It says take a piece of tissue paper and get yourself about a 2 centimeter square, and we're just going to cut a square here out of it. 2 centimeters, I was telling the students, is about the last 2 knuckles on your pinky finger, so we're going to check it. Yeah, it's more than big enough, so there we go, more than big enough. We're going to lay that down. We have some H2SO4. Now let's just review some acid rules. If we have gloves that we can wear, we should wear gloves, because if this gets on us, we can get a chemical burn on our skin, and it can leave a scar. If it gets on our clothes, we can burn holes in the clothes. That's not very nice either if mom and dad are buying our clothes for us. I'm going to be really careful, and I'm going to do this barehanded. If I do get it on me, I have baking soda that I can neutralize this and save myself. This rubber stopper, you can already see, is turning black. It's reacting with it. Now, this is a transfer bottle. I'm going to bubble it. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to gently knock off any extra so it's not coming out the outside. Hopefully it's not coming out the outside. I don't think it did. Nope. And I'm going to put 3 drops, 1, 2, 3, in the middle of the tissue paper. And then we're going to observe what happens. Well, first of all, what happens? I can't read through the tissue paper, so something's happening here in the middle. We are dissolving the paper, question mark. If I take a hold of this little piece that's up here, and I lift up, oh my gosh, look at what just happened here. There's a hole in my tissue paper. And let's look around the edge. It looks kind of burnt. That is a chemical burn. So we burned a hole in the paper. And here in the middle, we have some little black specks and brown specks down there. Let me put that underneath. Hopefully you can see some of it a little better. Those black and brown specks, we have carbon remaining in the acid. That's the black and brown specks. That's the carbon that was left behind. I'm going to go ahead and put that back in, and we'll let that dissolve some more. So, what did we observe? I didn't get a smell. I had some students that said they could smell the rotten egg smell of the reaction. I did not. And in this case, the reaction was almost instantaneous, almost instantly. Now for the next one, we've got some steel wool. In this case, it's a Brillo pad, so it's got a little bit of soap on it. Soap is a base, so it's going to neutralize the acid. So I said, well, let's just see what happens when we put the acid onto the soap. And as you can see, hopefully you can see in the video, I can see it very plainly, I'm getting kind of a yellow-green color right there. So this is with the acid with soap, and we get a yellow-green reaction. Okay, and as we can see, it's still continuing in there. Then I want to know, well, what would happen if we just put the acid on the steel wool? I'm soaking that pretty good, and really all I can see with my eyes, I see some streaking in the acid. I assume the streaking is partly whatever steel, iron is being taken away in the acid, also whatever's remnants of the soap that's there. But my acid and iron, Fe, basically all I'm seeing is it's turning to a gray-white color. It's cleaning the steel, it's removing the oxide, the outer coating, and I can smell it. I am getting a smell of rotten eggs, which is the sulfur. Now you can go to YouTube and you can type in steel wool and sulfuric acid, and they're going to show you a video where they put this big wad of Brillo pad in there, or steel wool pad, and it dissolves away into nothing, and they've got it ramped up. You guys, I did this last night when I was trying to get the video to work, and this has not dissolved, and it's in acid. I suppose if I had it covered in acid it would dissolve, but just dropping some on it is not really doing anything to it that I can see other than cleaning it really well and giving us the smell. So that's what happened there, and whoa, just caught the smell. So then on the last page we ask, this was for the sulfuric acid and sugar video, and the video, as I said, is already posted, so here's the run up to it. What did the instructor use? Well, we used a beaker, we used a glass pan. I guess I got some acid on my pen there. We used a glass pan, we used an aluminum pan, AL, aluminum is the symbol. I had a stir rod. I used about 50 milliliters of sugar, that was the measure in the beaker, and I used an equal amount of acid, and then it was stirred. Oh, sorry. So what was the procedure? What are the steps? Well, acid to sugar and stir, and then we waited. Well, what happened? And as you'll see in the video, it's going to go from white to yellow to brown to black. And this will take about a minute, okay? It doesn't happen right away. I had a teaching colleague tell me that they tried this and it didn't work. I don't know if they didn't wait long enough, too much acid, not enough acid, I don't know. But I used equal amounts. I did about 50 milliliters in a 300 milliliter beaker. So it goes to back, then we'll get some bubbling. There'll be some bubbling. And then we're going to get vapor. And as we get the vapor, we're going to get our exothermic reaction. And we're going to have a carbon column rise from the mixture. I wanted to say goop. I don't want to say goop. I want to say mixture. I want to keep it scientific. So, when we're done, have we recorded our data? Yes. Did we prove or disprove? And I'm going to tell you right now, we proved all of our theories of what was going to happen. We had actually looked all this stuff up online and mapped it out, but I wanted to take the students through the process. And then the last question for you to fill out if you have this lab is, what did you personally learn in the lab that you did not know before? What can you communicate regarding the experiment? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is reaction lab number 1. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the video of the sugar and acid reaction. And I apologize for all the coughing.